orders, through pro-growth trade policies, investment-focused agreements. Every bit of this puts American workers first and American industries first. And every one of these policies recognize that rebuilding American industry, it's not just an economic issue, but it's a national security issue as well. So there's gas prices coming down. Absolutely.
Yeah, Brandon, good point. They're also, I think, a national pride issue as well, and Americans feeling confident again in what we can produce here at home. All right, we appreciate it. Brandon Ferris, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's continue the conversation with Senior Advisor at the Heritage Foundation and former Associate Dean of Business at Troy University, Alan Mendenhall, along with business and market analyst Seth Denson. Seth, I'm going to kick it off with you here. As Brandon was just talking about, there's also a big economic component to what President Trump is talking about today, not just with gas prices, but also with bringing manufacturing back to the United States. But again, let's focus on the economic part right here and those gas prices, and particularly the truckers and that industry that President Trump is targeting today in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Katrina, and no surprise that he chose Mack Truck, an iconic brand, but also owned by Volvo, a Swedish company that earlier this year made an announcement over $1 billion of investment in the United States, kind of hearkening back to our pre-geopolitical conflict era when the president was really going to even outside of the U.S. companies and saying, we're going to be bringing manufacturing back and we need you to invest. Volvo was one of those companies. Surprised the president is making it a point that this is the stop that he's making in Pennsylvania.
Alan, also talk about the unemployment rate sitting at about 4.3%. That's about as low as the Fed likes to see it, or else you might start running into even more inflation issues, and that's standing above 4% right now. Talk about that, what that means.
Well, yeah, the economy added actually 172,000 non-farm payroll jobs in May, and the unemployment rate has held steady at 4.3%, so that's all good news. I think we're going to see gas prices drop even more with the Strait fully open, as the president said. And you've got to realize, like, energy prices are embedded throughout the supply chain. So we've seen every month since the Iran conflict began that headline inflation has ticked up. Well, headline inflation includes energy and gas as measured by the CPI. But if you look at core inflation, which excludes energy and food prices, it's still maintained at below 3%, which suggests to me that the inflation that we're seeing is all directly related to energy costs, which is directly related to the Strait being closed. So once the Strait opens and those energy costs come down, then we'll see headline inflation come down to a number where sort of core inflation currently is.
Seth, also, though, as those things happen, all positive, it will take a while for Americans, most Americans, to actually feel some relief. What do you think is on the horizon there in terms of potential timelines when Americans will start saying, okay, I'm not as stressed out about the bottom line?
Yeah, so a couple of things, Katrina.
Alan, that's for Seth. Thanks.
Okay, sorry,
Alan. Katrina, I think what we're seeing, and if you actually look at where crude is today, it's only about $5 higher than it was before the conflict began. We oftentimes say that the price at the pump goes up like an escalator or an elevator, but comes down like an escalator. I do think that we will see it come down faster. We're already starting to see it. This was because we didn't necessarily have a supply problem. We had an access problem and an optics problem. But now that that's resolved, I would expect that we see costs come down. And to Alan's point, that is going to matriculate throughout the economy and other goods and services as well.
Alan, real quick, 10 seconds here. Fundamentally, you're saying the economy looks good once this energy problem gets solved with the Strait.
Yeah, I think so. And if you look at capital markets, financial markets, which again, those aren't markets, which are just people, all people buying and selling across the economy. But if you look at capital markets, they've hit so many records this year. I can't even keep track. I know we've had over 20 records hit with just the S&P 500 alone, but the Dow, NASDAQ, they're all breaking records. And so, I'm optimistic.
Okay, got to leave it there. Alan, Seth, we always appreciate it. Good to see you both.
Thanks, y'all.
All right, President Trump now says that progress is being